Hello, Nanette.
Hi, Paul.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for bringing me by your studio.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, here we are. Can you show me essential tools?
Essential
to
tools.
begin?
Well, when I'm working on monotypes, which I do a lot of the time, my essential tools, well, there's some in the cabinet over here, are brayers.
Uh-huh.
Mostly this. Q-tips.
Yeah.
A little rag with I wrap around my finger.
Yeah.
That's kind of the key tools. I don't usually use a lot of brushes. But I use them sometimes nowadays. A monotype is a singular print. They call it like a painterly print is usually what it's called, because you paint or put an image on a plate and then you put it through the press and you pull one image. And sometimes, and afterwards, there's a ghost left on the plate, and this is where I find a lot of magic, is in the ghost. This is a ghost of a plate that's actually in the show. I have it Gardena right
At
now.
Gardena, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So there's not enough ink on there to actually pull a print from it, but there's often enough ink on there to give you an idea. Like, I always feel like the first one, like this, the first one is my, just go get it done, get it printed. And then I build off the plate.
So you're working directly on, that's plexiglass, is that right?
Right.
You are, painting on that in ink.
Right, yeah.
And then so you have to use the light to get a sense of...
Well, you can do these by, most people do them, down on a table. You can see, or hold it up to the light to see it.
Uh-huh.
I have some neck problems, so working this way is hard on my system. So I came up with this idea to work upright. Yeah.
So then the printing, how does that go down?
The printing, so when this is ready to go, here, actually I can show you a little bit more, little process here so you can kind of get a better idea of how this works.
We've got ourselves a real live demo.
Sort of. At least I'll put some ink on here. And then, this is generally how I work.
Okay, so it's like, yeah, add and take away.
Add and take away. So yeah, it's like painting, and similar to painting, the process of painting. So you add and take away, add and take away. Give nuances of things, and that's what I love about monotypes. When this started, I had a different idea for where I was going to take this, and then as the ink went down, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Maybe that'll stay, or maybe that'll go, and it turns into something else as I work on them. And that's what I really love about the ghosts. So once this is ready, these go into this press. I'm not actually sure, but it goes on the press. You put a piece of paper on here. It runs through the press, and then you.
Which is to say, you're cranking. You put paper down, then the cloth cover.
Yeah.
And then you crank down to press it into it.
I'm not actually gonna print this because it's not ready. But
Yeah.
So pretend like the plate's on there.
Uh-huh.
And then you roll it through the press.
Squeeze it on there.
Squeeze it on. And then you would pull a piece of paper off, and it would yield one print.
So then you have what do you do with a ghost?
So then the ghosts, I take the ghost plate, and you could print this. You just get a really light version of the same thing, and it would, not look very good.
Uh-huh.
But you could print it. Some people do, but I just take them. I have to take them and take a look at them and think, what can I do with that?
Got it. So you've got a print gone. It's now a ephemeral, ghosty presence, and then you're painting right back on that.
Yeah, sometimes I'll take my, add some, I don't have water here. I'll take some water. This ink cleans up with water. I'll take some water and throw it on there to make, mess it up.
Just see what happens.
Yeah, to see what happens.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I can show you some examples. So this is an example of a ghost. I'm just trying to show you the process. So this was the original that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a ghost left on the plate, and you can kind of see the ghost would have entirely printed like the bottom half of this, or the bottom quarter.
Okay, so
there's a little green in there.
Got you. So on the left, I'm seeing the original.
Right.
The right one is the ghost with added.
Yeah, I came back in and I saw this image on the plate, and I was like, oh, it's kind of oh, I see this, whatever. And so then I redid it. I added a little ink to it in spots, not over the whole thing. in this area, and then I kind of redid the figure, and this other figure emerged, you know, different character emerged.
Yeah,
from
with
it.
an extra arm,
With
it
an
looks
extra-
like.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
so cool.
And the face looked like my sister as a child. I don't know how that happened, but
Mm.
to me.
Okay, that leads me to questions. So how are you're a figurative artist, a lot like me.
Yeah.
Where do the figures come from?
Sometimes I know I made this one up because it was two people together, but I do use photographs loosely to help me draw the figures. And then from there, once I get something started, I usually just kind of make it up.
Are you drawing directly on that plexiglass to start?
Yeah, I do like a little scratch line drawing on there. I do have a sketchbook. I don't try this process, you know, trying to control a monotype is not a good idea. You just can't. So the more I can just let nuances happen and kind of let the medium guide me, the more exciting the work is. I mean, I have piles. This is my garbage pile. These piles of things that didn't work.
Oh man, look at that! Look at that!
That's just the junk that maybe I'll print over it. This top piece.
I have a feeling other people will not see that as junk.
These ones are on top, but the underneath here, these ones are. This is my junk pile. So sometimes I'll come back into them. Sometimes I'll paint on them or whatever. But for every one that I pull that's good, there's, you know, a pile of ones that didn't work.
Yeah.
Which technically, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, like how it works. Sometimes there'll be 4 or 5 that don't work before I get one that works, or get the beautiful one, you know, that's down the road. Like the first ones are just, get the first ones out of the way and get that concept out of your head and just let this medium guide you kind of process, which is kind of how I paint as well. But painting, you know, you start your painting and you kind of fill it in or whatever, and it builds on top of it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the same way, but it's building by each piece.
By iteration.
By iteration. So you're building that way instead of building this way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So instead of building on the canvas, you're building on a print that keeps printing out.
What was the schedule on this? Like you did that one, the one on the left first.
Yeah, I did that one first. I did these all 3 of these from the same, and I did these on the same day. So
does that have to happen? Did that have to be the same
day? This ink, most monotypes you should print on the same day. This ink can hang on for a day, maybe till the next day, especially if I put it in my fridge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like oil ink, you know.
Right, so you slow down. You just slow down
the
drying process.
Yeah. I lose the excitement of a monotype if I have to put a second layer on it, because you have to plan for that. You actually have to plan. Everything's backwards, right? So I have to think about, where is that ink going to go? What's it going to cover up when I turn it over and do all those things, and I'm more spontaneous. This piece here, which I'm not happy with this other side, but this area here, this piece was, let's see, it started, these are all pieces I'm not crazy about. It started as this.
Okay.
And then there's another version that's in the Gardena show. You see the show that has this figure in it. It was actually the ghost of this plate that I actually made into a print. And then there was still a ghost left on it, so I turned it sideways and changed the figure.
Excellent.
And made that piece, which I still want to work on, so that's why it's sitting here, because there's another piece.
But in this case, you're screening the left half because you don't like that from yourself?
I was thinking about it, like, what do I want it to be there? I can take this down.
Yeah. Oh, but I do that kind of thing all the time. Like for me, it's, move it around somewhere else in the studio, or obscure it in whatever way so that I can
see it differently.
Yeah, at a glance.
Yeah.
Like be a new character looking at the thing.
Right.
What do you do to keep your chops up?
To keep my chops up?
Yeah. Like these days, mid-career.
Yeah, well, during the pandemic, I started people do online figure drawing. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it's not the same, but it was really awesome. It really helped a lot to be able to continue figure drawing. And
as in, like, there's a model on the video screen.
Yeah, they do a Zoom.
So this is online during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Figure drawing class.
Figure drawing class, yeah. So maybe a 30-minute pose. It's a challenge. It's way more challenging than drawing. You have to really discover. You know, I'm using my fingers. I'm using really crude tools to find the form. You know. Yeah.
So when you're living the rest of life, how do you capture ideas?
How do I capture ideas? I do sketch. I write stuff down. I write ideas down. I write notes. And so I can go revisit my notes, have a notebook too, where I think about, this is, And lately I do plein air sketches, plein air paintings, little ones. You know, I do that to kind of get into the environment, to see the colors and to find inspiration. For monotypes now, I try not to be too specific, because again, if I come up with something, a drawing, like I love this drawing, I like this thing, and then I try to translate it to the monotype, it doesn't work, you know. So, but it gives me that. But I do like drawing. I do like drawing that figure. You know, maybe drawing that figure a couple times just so I have the memory of drawing the figure. You know, or figuring out how the figure's working in space.
So instead of working that image into another medium, you are putting into muscle memory your feeling of doing the figure. Then you're ready.
Yeah.
To go in with the ink.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it needs to stay loose. You're telling me like spontaneity and so on is like very important to all this.
Yes, for sure. It's frustrating too sometimes because it's like, yeah, it doesn't work. You know, these things don't work. Right?
So are there like whole days of this just is not happening?
Oh yeah, there's whole days of this isn't happening. There's days of like I can't do this. I don't know what, you know.
Yeah.
They don't work. They don't work, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I suck, or whatever, you know. I mean, those days happen a lot. I mean, they happen a lot, as you can see, like the size of this pile. I have piles. I have drawers full of failed monotypes that, you know, are good, but I haven't thrown the paper away yet, or whatever.
Thank you so much, Nanette.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Great stuff.
I wasn't expecting to show figures. This is what I've been doing lately, though, so it makes sense because it's looping back, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to what you do next.
Yeah.
Yay.